I would love to talk about all things culture, all things leadership, management, particularly through the lens of being a young founder, because I'm 25 now. I started WOW when I was 21. And in the last, I think around just over 12 months, we essentially tripled in headcount. So I'm now having to navigate, first of all, how do I work with people younger than me, my age and older? How do I work with people who I really like, they're cool people, they're interesting people, they bring something to the table. And something that I've struggled with throughout is, when there are people who are similar to the friends that I would see on the weekend, it's bloody difficult to give like direct feedback. And it can be difficult to say, hey, that's not how we do things here. I wasn't pleased about that. So I would love to understand that from your perspective.
Yeah, I'd say the feedback thing's always been quite interesting because there'll be times that I'll like go home and I'll be like, why are they doing that? What is going on? And I'll get really frustrated. And then I'll come to work and I'll have a catch up and it'll be like, could improve there. And I think there's actually this reality check I had to myself of being a bit like, if that's not done properly, who does it affect? Affects them in the sense they might have to get a new job, but think about like a business, how does it affect the business? It could literally shut the whole thing down if it becomes such a big problem and really grows and grows. So I think that reality check of me realizing, hang on a minute, this needs to be stopped. Right now in Tahora, this is my first company where it's investment backed. There are, at the moment, only angels and Y Combinator. So you've got all these individuals and a fund who have got money in this. And that money is family money. That money is hard-earned cash they spent years of their life putting into this thing. That Y Combinator, their money has come from other entrepreneurs who've done really well, who then put money back into their fund and invest in the next wave. And money doesn't just grow on trees. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why I say that is because I then had this reality check of being a bit like, come on, Ben, you have a responsibility here. I'm acting in a sense on behalf of my investors to a certain point of view, not from like a day-to-day, but in a sense of the cash that is funding this right now has come from their pockets, not mine.
Yep.
Which therefore means that I need to make sure that I am like shepherding that and making sure that it's put into the right pockets and in the right way and it's being spent wisely and not just wasted on random things or people are spending a week doing something that's not needed. So I think that reality check maybe changed my bit about it. And you do have to sometimes be careful because sometimes as an entrepreneur, what you're thinking and what you can say are different and you have to like really think about how you structure that and bring it together. But I also think that's something that you just learn over time. I know I'm not a perfect boss and I would never claim I am. I think I'm also 23. Like, it's not like I've sat here and said, for the last 25 years when I've been doing managerial roles and X, Y, and Z, I've learned this. Every day is learning something new. But I think as long as you've got that mindset of you are learning, that's also okay. But I think there's some people I know who maybe of our sort of age who don't think like that. You think like, no, I am the best and what I say goes. That's when you start to see struggle because that's where the reality hits in that maybe they haven't been through that before. They don't know what that experience actually means. Then they can't handle that situation.
Yeah, I think the point on you having a wider responsibility to a number of shareholders, individuals, families is a really good one. And, if I were in that situation and that was in the back of my mind, I wouldn't feel like I was necessarily personally doing this. I'd feel like, I got responsibility and this needs to be done and I'm the guy to do it. Mm-hmm. So I definitely hear how that can be helpful. What I've found in the past, way back when I started a business, I was savage. It was awful. I gave horrible feedback. There was no mention of the good things. If they were good, they just happened. I didn't comment. If they were bad, I mentioned it straight away. The way that I mentioned it, the tone of my voice, everything about it was awful. And thank God I got some feedback from my colleagues. And then I went gradually the extreme opposite to the point where now I think I'm a massive softie. And I've had feedback from colleagues, a few months ago to say, hey, you can be a bit stronger, you can be a bit firmer here, because you need to say these things and we get that.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the process of figuring out what that looks like. But I realized recently that a lot of the time in the past, I have wimped out. I've thought, okay, I've got a great relationship with this person. I really like them. They're doing a great job. But at the same time, something isn't right. And it's quite clear to me that these things need a big improvement. So what I would do is I would go in with the super soft, hey, here's what's going really well. There's this thing we can work on a little bit. But yeah, great stuff. And I would leave there feeling as if, I'd said the whole thing, the reality was I'd said 90% of what I wanted to say. That remaining 10% would be the difficult stuff to say.
Yeah.
That's the stuff which I would feel uncomfortable talking about. That's the stuff, that someone would, it would be difficult for them to hear. And I realize now that on reflection, I'm not doing anyone any favors. It's like what you said, like who's actually impacted by this? The people on our team are ambitious. They want to level up. They want to grow within a company. They want to grow professionally. And I'm not helping them if I'm just like, okay, I'm going to wimp out here because it's difficult for me to say. So that's kind of my thinking going forward and how I'm going to approach things. Doesn't mean I'm going to be savage with the delivery of feedback, but it does mean that I'm going to remove how I feel. If I think, oh, that's going to be tough for them to hear, I'm going to remove myself and my interests from it and be the guy who gives the feedback to other people that's actually going to help them. But it's taken me a while to get to this point.
I think the other thing that I've started doing that I think reinforces it and sometimes puts it a bit more blunt than maybe you'd say it in the actual catch-up is so every employee has like a Notion page on our system, and they like on that they put in their to-dos, any notes. It's their little universe. Mike, my co-founder, and I both have access to those because we can add in notes and sort of just see how things are going and so on. At the same time, we then have a catch-up section in that. And I'll put in the notes from the catch-up into their thing so they can see it, we can see it, not hidden behind some HR platform of what was said, but actually it was transparent. They can see the notes and they can align on that. They can make edits if they think they weren't true representation of what was said. But I also found that sometimes hits the reality when you say, here are the 3 good things and here are the 3 things you need to improve on. When they're in that blunt form, without the sugar coating, without the sit down, without the coffee in your hand, just in there, here's what it is, gives you time to digest. But it's not like you're sending it before the meeting because then it's going to be like, whoa, hang on a minute. So you send it after, and it's everything in there is things that were discussed, but sometimes having that secondary layer I found just enforces it, and it also makes it easier to bring it up 2 weeks later. Like these 3 things, that one you've done, these other 2 I haven't seen any improvement in. There's no then, I forgot, or I didn't realize we said about that because actually that's here. And I almost think that one of the things I've worked out or learned when it comes to managing people as a young person is I think sometimes people think they can like pull the wool over your eyes or think that your inexperience can make it easier for them. And now I'm not saying this about any of like our current employees or anything like that. I actually think we've got a really good group of people who actually really respect that. Both me, but also Mike, so he's 30. So also realise that both of us being like young people in the grand scheme of things, they actually really respect that. And I think I'd be fair to say they love the fact that it brings new ideas and a new approach to things. But I have in the past seen experiences where sometimes a young person naturally means if I want to get something I want, I can achieve that, or I can use them or manipulate the situation to get what I want. And so that I had to learn the hard way. I had to realize that. And that basically came from people close to me saying, why are you letting them do that? What on earth is going on? And that's where I think I had this reality check of like, I'm responsible right now to investors, like I say. But even like when I had a marketing company, and the same with yourself, is you're responsible to your clients. Your clients are paying your bills. Your clients are paying for X number of hours for you to deliver a service. And if you feel like you're mucking around in those hours, that only reflects badly on one person. And unfortunately, it's the entrepreneur, the business leader who's had that relationship, who's managing that, because that's the person they go to when they want to end things, not the employee who's maybe behind the scenes, not on that sort of call once a week. So I think that reality made me realize I have to find a group of people, a group of employees who know that I'm young and know that. So it's on our recruitment page, it's public. It's not like I'm hiding the fact that you're going to have a young leader, but at the same time see the positives and the value they get from that.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. One thing really stands out, which is having the conversation, having a difficult conversation, and then following up in just a matter of fact way, and also having that in one universe, you called it, so having it on Notion so it's consistently there. I think particularly what we're seeing is as we grow, particularly as we grow quickly, ways of doing things, processes get lost, and you as the boss need to be the one to set the tone. We consistently document these things, we document these conversations, we then follow back on them. And I think doing that, not only helps you address the matter at hand, but then helps that kind of culture and that way of working filter throughout the company. The final kind of thought I have on feedback is the ability to kind of welcome feedback yourself. I had a colleague recently send me a message and say, look, hey, I get that you're really busy, but I wanted to let you know that on that call we just had, it felt like you were really disengaged and it felt like you were doing other things. So just wanted to kind of leave that with you. And I saw that and I was like, first of all, like, fuck, this is cool. Like, this is cool that someone who I work with is saying this to me.
Yeah.
The other part was, oh shit. What about the other person on the call who I was not being engaged with? But then also the real piece of this, which is, what about the 20 plus other calls I had this week? Because what I was doing, right, I'm, trying to manage a bunch of stuff. So I will, jump off camera or I'll open up another tab and quickly make a note about something.
You see the flash of your screen will change and you see
the whole thing. And so I've been doing this particularly recently a lot. I would have continued doing that a lot. And all it is, it's super simple. Somebody says to me who's on my team who I trust, hey, you did this thing. It's not great. Just so you know. Boom. Best thing ever. And so I really tried to kind of encourage that. When those things happen, I share it with the team. Because I think, again, that sets a tone for how we give feedback to each other and how we can learn from it.